most of the things in here are like people in the community in Nashville. I met a guy who had a buddy who was unloading something, or somebody's going through a divorce and they just need to clear everything out. So a lot of those stories, kind of like rescue situations.
Yep. Cool. What about like this piano? I know there's a couple places here in Nashville where they're like piano finds and stuff like that.
Yeah, Nashville
Bird
Rescue.
or whatever.
Yeah, Bird Finds is great. This one actually, one of our renters lived in Old Hickory, and his request was, hey, I want like a pristine acoustic piano. I don't want like a thrift store find that we have to tune, very often. And he was talking to his neighbor one day, and the neighbor was like, hey, we've actually got a piano in the basement. It hasn't been touched since we bought it in the 90s. And so we go check this thing out, and it had, the lid on the front. Yep. And this might be too much information, but we would go like this, and it was just nicotine because they had been smoking indoors since the 90s.
Gross,
and I bought this last year, so.
How long did it take to get that off?
A long time.
2 days?
A week of just scrubbing. I think there's still some charcoal, in here. The piano bench was nasty. Just lots of charcoal, refreshing it, leaving the windows open when we were working in here.
Yeah.
And if you really stick your head in there, I'm sure you could find that smell again. But it sounds amazing. I mean, the felt, it looks like it's never been played.
Wow.
She was just unloading everything at her house. So this was another, I think $500 purchase. Wow. So just one of those, keep it local, buying things from people.
And what about this kid? Because old classic Ludwig.
Dude, yes. This is like my pride and joy. So this was owned by a bandmate of mine, Jesse Lindsay, and we moved out here together with this kit. So when I moved out here from Northern California, this was like in the band that we were touring with. So it's 70s kick and 70s floor, but this is an 80s rack tom, so kind of Frankenstein.
Yeah.
And then the snare is actually a 1930s Pioneer. And I've had it kind of worked on over the years. It's very temperamental, but when it's working, it's really working.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And so he was transitioning into photography and didn't need a drum kit anymore. And so it was one of those, hey, I'll keep it in the family. I'll never sell it. And if you ever want it back, you're welcome to buy it back. So.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, but it sounds awesome in this room, especially, playing out into just all of the weird shapes of this room. It's just like a nice, pleasing sound.
Yeah. Well, and also not too shabby of a drum mic collection here.
Yeah.
Old D12, right?
Yep. I bought that from, I think that was that might have been a random eBay find that Cole, who fixes a bunch of ribbon mics and dynamic mics, helped out with. And then that is the 47 FET, but it's by United. And they do a very cool version that I am just completely sold on.
And 421s, and then of course up top, the King.
Yeah, how often do you see the R88 sitting above a drum kit?
I know, it's one of those mics that's really tough because it's so good on everything.
Yeah, that is exactly how I feel. But it sits right about there, and you just adjust height to taste, and that's about it. So, especially on a vintage kit, when you want it to sound dead, it's kind of the perfect choice. Yeah, so I actually bought these from the same person here in town, Ryan Monroe. He's the guitarist of Band of Horses, and he was kind of selling some old stuff, buying some new stuff, and we just kind of met in transition, and I bought those and my RE201 off of him.
Oh, nice.
And they were in great condition. There was just like minor repair from using like vintage vibe parts and maybe some used stuff off of eBay that I could find old stock. But they're so fun.
Cool, yeah.
As a pseudo keys player, they're very fun to sit down and noodle, yeah. Yeah, this is like my little collection of traveling. I've kind of picked all of these up in different places the family has traveled and shops across America. But yeah, that Vibro Champ, which is really cool about this, there is a shop in town called New Vintage. Patrick owns it. He was actually John Prine's guitar tech for a really long time. And he modded this to where It's your regular circuit, and then you pull out the base, and it switches the circuit into the tweed circuit. So you actually have
cool.
both options, which is just so much louder.
Yeah.
I think it's just pulling out certain parts of the circuit, and so having those two options with the new power transformer, so it's reliable.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's so fun. It's probably my favorite amp to play.
Yeah, blowing out that little speaker, man.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
And then I have just like kind of a love obsession with old solid state obscure amps that nobody knows.
Yeah.
And so I've got a slew of those between here and my house that I just can transport and play around with.
Bass and organ amp.
Yeah.
What's this? This looks like an old record player speaker or something.
Yeah, it's actually an old TV case
Oh, whoa.
that I gutted and put in a keyboard amp. So
Nice.
you can plug in all of the Rhodes and the Whirly. There's 6 inputs, and so anything you want, kind of a old look with a modern feel.
Hey, thanks for checking out this clip. If you're setting up your own studio and you have any questions about how to hook things up, what to plan for, what gear you are thinking about getting, how you want to go about it, you can schedule a call with me at andrewmastersmusic.com. It's a one-on-one, 1-hour consultation where you can ask me anything you want. The link is down in the description. Go schedule your call today. And if you're just chilling and you want to subscribe or watch another clip, click one of these 2 things.